His glory.
This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
This is the Limitless Keith Lee, and I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open podcast. Mwah.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 244. My name is Nick Howell.
And paying tribute to the bravest ref I've ever seen work a match, sending condolences to his wife. Of course, I'm referring to the referee for the AEW Puppy Battle Royale. Rest in peace, buddy. You served well. My name is Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to the show. Welcome to Busted Wide Open. That's right, your one-stop shop for all of the graphs, all of the news, all of the opinions that you need for professional wrestling. That's right. We got to talk about AEW Fyter Fest Night 2 today, Nick. We got to talk about NXT's Great American Bash Night 2. We got to talk about the Puppy Battle Royale.
Oh, yeah.
We got to, I guess we got to talk about Smackdown. They had a show, sort of. So
there was something on TV last night on Fox that somewhat resembled a wrestling show attempt.
Yeah, it seemed like a pre-vacation. Let's throw something together, but we'll talk about that when we get to it, because we've also got to get to a Dominion preview. That's right. New Japan had its New Japan Cup final last night. Things happened. Things done happened at that show, and Dominion just got a lot more interesting. Dominion, of course, happening tonight/tomorrow morning, depending on where you are. Oh boy. It's going to be a good one. We're going to talk about that as well. So, Nick, we have a lot to get to today, so we cannot dawdle. No dawdling. A lot of big news. But first, we got to do a little housekeeping, and then we can get into the meat of the show.
Yes. Before I get into the housekeeping, there is just one thing that I need to say.
Oh. Go on.
Yes, guys, come over and join us in Discord. Make sure you can come find us over there. Ian can't hear what I just played, but you guys can, so now he knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Make sure you come find us in Discord, get into live chats all throughout the week. I'm going to use that all day today because you guys know why. We'll talk about that later. God, I can't even do with a housekeeper. Discord, get into the Facebook group. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Make sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube and got your notifications set to all when we stream live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Plus, we're going to be doing our patron mailbag sort of AMA episode after this show directly, so stick around for that. You don't want to miss that. As Ian said, we have a ton of wrestling to get. Oh, patrons. I can't. God, why
don't forget the patrons.
I should do patrons first. You know what? From now on, you guys get to go first. Patreon goes first. Patreon.com/BWO. Patrons, you guys are the reason that we continue to do what we do. Thank you guys so much for all of your support constantly, every single month, as we love doing this show. You guys are absolutely everything to us. Thank you guys so much. We are on the race to 100 patrons. I think we're sitting right around 70 right now.
Yeah.
So let's put some goals out there, Ian. We got to cook something up. Hey, patrons.
Oh boy.
Phenomenal ones.
I think it's my turn to take one on the chin this time, isn't it?
More or less, you could put it that way. If having a Nia Jax cutout behind me is considered taking it on the chin, I guess. Sure. But yeah,
a show. I have to do a show dressed as Taichi or something like that.
Ooh, that'd be a good one for 100 patrons. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But guys, if you'd like to get in on some of those exclusives, it is the best way to support the show. Head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers. Get into the patron pick'ems for SummerSlam that's going to be coming up. Access to the show notes for every single episode, bonus episodes, Skype calls, all kinds of good stuff over at patreon.com/BWO. Whew, do not forget, we are back doing BWO Daily all week. This week, we've been back doing that, and if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, it is the only place to find it. Make sure you're checking in every day at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're premiering a brand new episode of the day's news in the world of the Graps. So come and find us over on YouTube if you're just listening to the audio later and not here live with us. Hello, chat. Hello, guys.
Hello,
ladies
lovely
and
chatters.
Gents, how are you doing today? Happy Saturday. Thank you for joining us live. But Ian, let's go talk about the Graps because we got a lot of it to blow through. And we are going to kick things off with AEW Fyter Fest Night 2.
Well, let's start with the main event. Le Champion, Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. No, he's Canadian. He's not French. He just speaks French.
Oh.
I don't think they don't have in Canada.
Le Champion.
Les champions.
Yeah.
Les poissons. So Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy.
I'm sorry.
This one
I'm embarrassed.
has been coming for a little bit. They've been building this for a while. This was an interesting one to me because it looked like they were going towards Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson, and then that just kind of didn't happen. So they did a quick pivot and went to Orange Cassidy. And they had their match finally last Wednesday night, and it was a damn good match, Nick.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been sleeping on the old Orange.
Well,
and,
Orange Cassidy
maybe
tried.
not quite sure what he's capable of, but as you guys saw, that guy can go.
We kind of knew that from he'd shown the little hints of it before in the match with Pac and everything. This, he went the entire match, spent the first half getting beat up, and then it kind of went back and forth between him and Jericho at the end. Ultimately, though, Jericho caught him out. Despite all the interference from ringside with Santana and Ortiz, they ended up getting chased off by best friends after they sprayed orange juice in Cassidy's face and hit him with a mad ball and all kinds of other shenanigans. They leave, and it's just down to Cassidy and Jericho. Cassidy goes for a Superman punch, eats a Judas effect. 1, 2, 3, that's your match. Cassidy looks like a champ going down in defeat, but he took it to Jericho big time. But here is my problem.
Oh.
Orange Cassidy is an act that doesn't work without a real crowd. And the friends and family and coworkers that they had there were fine. They added some ambient noise, but you didn't have the pops that you would have had for some of the stuff that happened in this match without an actual crowd. And now the thing that I worry about is they've spent the Orange Cassidy gimmick. I feel like this was Jericho wanting to get some rub off of Cassidy, give him a shot at the main event. Cassidy was their hottest commodity. I'm not going to say he isn't anymore. We won't know that till the crowds come back, but he can only try so many times before you go, okay, cool. It's a build to a release that they just released, and now how do you get the cat back in the bag?
Yeah. I mean, he still did the little shin kicks and the fun things and the rev up and all that.
Nick, you hit it on the head. He did the shin kicks, and he paid off several months worth of build on that, where he, at the one point, Jericho's getting up, he's staggering, and Cassidy comes in with his hands in his pockets and does a little shin kicks and backs up also like he's going to do his little shin kick, super kick, like he's mocking him. But he changes it up at the last second when Jericho doesn't expect it and super kicks him in the face. That would have been the biggest pop of the entire match if they'd done this in front of a crowd, because he paid off all this time making us believe that he would just, end with the super kick to the shins, and then he gives a real super kick and nails Jericho, knocks him down.
Yeah.
That would have been such a huge pop moment. It's spent now. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. That magical moment is gone, and you can't get it back. And with Cassidy, it is, and this is the thing I've been saying about him since the beginning, is he's a great character, and there's a lot of magic there, but they have to be careful because the fans are fickle and the jokes get old quick. And on the indies, Cassidy found a lot of ways to kind of keep it fresh and do funny things and everything. But having him go all out against Jericho here, I feel it undermines his character a little bit. And it means that next time that we see him come out and be slothful, we're like, well, we know you can go. Why don't you?
I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know if I'm that concerned about this yet. This was an interesting look. I like the double character sort of dynamic. I like the fact that I like that he can do both, and I like that he times it right. And it's when he comes out with the best friends as a ringside sidekick, he's a little goofy. He'll get in and interfere. He'll do fun, funny stuff that pops the crowd, and like being pulled out on a ladder from underneath the ring, for example.
Sure.
But when he gets into the ring, he can actually go. It's not just a joke. I like that about his character and his gimmick. I like that it's both. It's two-faced in a way. So I think you're totally right about not having the fans there, but I still popped. I still thought it was funny. Millions of people at home, well, 700 and something thousand people at home, I should say. Still think it's funny.
The problem is they didn't. They all tuned out and went to the main event of NXT. If you look at the ratings, AEW went meow by the end. They started off really strong. They were really strong during the tag match, and then they died out by the end. The Orange Cassidy Jericho main event did not outdraw what was a much bigger main event over on NXT.
I was going to say, and deservedly so.
Well, it was a bigger main event, but the problem is that there's only one winner, and Orange Cassidy did not outdraw that.
True.
And that's seen by analysts as not being a main eventer. You can't draw. You can't draw.
Yeah.
So here we are with Orange Cassidy. He has a main event against Jericho and doesn't draw from people at home, and they're stuck at home. They're not in the stands. So that's the issue with this. So I worry for Orange Cassidy. I worry that it's too easy to spend his gimmick, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm nervous about it after this. Obviously, I thought this was a great match. It was a great main event, and Jericho did a good job, and Orange Cassidy did a good job. But I worry about Orange Cassidy's future after this. They've got to reset him, put it back to zero, have him just do funny shit for a while, and then build back up to this when people have forgotten that he can do this.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
I totally do. Totally agree with you. And have him run around with the best friends some more. Exactly. Yeah.
The other question people have been saying is, should Jericho have put over OC? Should Orange Cassidy have beaten Jericho here as a way of kind of like anointing him or giving him a yeah, you're the main event now, kid? Or was this the right ending?
I think that Orange Cassidy should have won.
Really?
I do think he should have won. There was no title in the picture. There wasn't a lot of stakes around it. Jericho can eat that loss, and it just embroils a feud with the best friends and Jericho and Santana and Ortiz, and you get another little sort of mini feud out of it. I'd be okay. There's no title in the picture. I think what it would do is, we're not short of tag teams in AEW, so there's really not a need for, at one point best friends were the number one contenders for Page and Omega. And we're seeing that landscape shift a little bit, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But I think that would be the only logical way to come out of that sort of situation if Cassidy had gone over it, is it turns into some sort of blood feud. And Santana and Ortiz have matches against best friends and, blood orange feud.
Blood feud!
Anyway, I think it could have worked.
I disagree. I think Jericho should have won here. Cassidy's not as big of a draw or an event as Jericho is. Cassidy got his by looking good against Jericho in this match.
Yeah.
But Jericho needs to be kept strong. Jericho has beaten people like Tanahashi and Naito and Kenny Omega. Like, Orange Cassidy's not beating Jericho.
Well, I think Butters just summed it up
perfectly
in the chat. He said even Keith Lee and Adam Cole would have even outdrawn Cage versus Moxley for the AEW championship.
No, the best thing that they could have done was keep Cage and Moxley for next week.
Yeah.
Like, that was
very, very smart.
Murdered. That was going to get even like Moxley just got cleared, I think yesterday. So they, it was late. It was after the fact, but they were not, they were not out drawing.
And it also might confirm a suspicion we've kind of had for a long time, is that it's the same people flipping channels back and forth. It's why the numbers are the same. I've often thought that it's a lot of channel flipping happening, or a picture in picture, or a back and forth between the two.
I don't know. That's all I know is that Mrs. TV show Cannonball outdrew both AEW and NXT this week.
Oh no! They got that 55 and up demo.
Not by much. By like 20,000 or something. But it's still like oh. But you know what? We were actually blessed if you were watching AEW, because we did have one of the best tag matches of the year: Young Bucks and FTR versus the Butcher, the Blade, and the Lucha Brothers. Good Lord.
I'm going to testify right here.
As Ricky Morton said, this was a Rembrandt painting of a tag match. All of these guys were just on their game. If you don't like spot fests, you might have been grumble. But as Ricky Morton said, like, hey, man, times change. What is expected of these kinds of things change. And if you didn't get at least some entertainment out of this match, then I don't know what to tell you. You might not like wrestling.
Yeah.
You might not. If you found nothing to enjoy here. All of these guys put in the work. You had a ton of like little subtle storytelling going on. You had some insane moves. There was a Canadian destroyer off the top rope onto a group of people on the outside. I don't even know what I saw. I had to rewind it a bunch of times and just go, what?
Ray Phoenix, man.
So it was
good Lord.
Ray Phoenix. Good Lord. Nick Jackson and Ray Phoenix also did like a simultaneous jump up. What was it? It was a Spanish Fly, wasn't it? Off the top. Unreal.
No.
Unreal. But the story of the match was, could FTR and Young Bucks get along? And the answer was yes, for the most part. They didn't like tagging each other in, but it seemed to work for the most part. However, at the end, Matt missed Pentagon Jr., kicked, I think, Dax in the face, and ended up taking one of those combo moves from the Lucha Brothers and gets put down for the 1, 2, 3.
LB driver or whatever they're calling it now, I think is
Settle driver, whatever. Yeah, it's the tag pile driver.
Right.
But put Matt down for good, and Lucha Brothers and Butcher and Blade win. They win this match, which is surprising considering the FTR and Bucks are the ones they're facing. But at the end, the Bucks and FTR seemed like they were back on the same page again. Everything's cool. What are we looking at here? Are we going for FTR and Bucks in the near future, or are they just showing? Are they playing the long game here, Nick?
Yeah.
And they're trying to show us that they can work together, but they don't necessarily like each other, but they can work together for now.
Yeah.
What do you think's
friends
happening
close,
here?
enemies closer kind of thing.
But you were the one who was saying that like by September we were going to have Bucks versus FTR.
Oh,
Does that seem too soon now, or do you think they can still pull that off?
No, they can still pull that off. Depends on what are we going to do for All Out in September? I'm thinking about things like that. Like, what's the next big AEW pay-per-view we're going to get to? I think it's All Out in a couple of months. So we'll see. I still think it's totally possible. Chris, 1978 with $5 in the super chat said this match was fire. It was.
Fire.
It totally was. It had
hot
it had all of the favorites. It had all of the favorite spots. You guys know I'm a huge mark for tag team wrestling. Just they're doing it right in AEW. I have zero complaints about this match. It's good to see Pentagon and Rey Fenix back more on TV. Man, I miss them.
This show really showed, and last week too, but it showed just how freaking deep their tag division is. Good Lord.
Yep.
It's unreal.
And
like
if you got
when
a tag
you step
division,
back and look at it.
you got infinite singles possibilities in there as well. And that's the
they
misstep
utilize
that WWE doesn't quite grasp. So
they do it kind of the other way around.
Right.
Like, literally opposite of that. We got a bunch of singles guys, so we can do a bunch of tag teams if
Let's
you
just
want.
throw them together. They'll get it, pal. They'll understand.
And it's a great way of looking at it is that you've got people that are in tag teams that can be singles wrestlers, and it's almost interchangeable. Where like if Scorpio Sky or Kazarian steps out from SCU, or Dark Order's got how many different iterations that it can do, or if Mark Quinn goes and has a singles match against Cody, it doesn't lessen the tag team or the singles wrestler. You just understand that it's a singles wrestler who's also a tag wrestler.
Yeah.
They're serving both masters.
Yeah.
And also it means that you have this absolutely insane depth where you can have 4 absolutely world-class tag teams go balls to the wall and have an insane match like this one, and then still have 2 other tag matches on the show that are awesome with top-level tag teams, and have tag teams hanging out ringside or coming out to help people in their main event. You've got 2 major tag teams in the main event with Jericho and Orange Cassidy hanging out ringside. That's how deep it is. It's insanity.
Yep.
And I love it. I'm starting to come around on pretty much every single one of these tag teams where like there's no one I think is a weak spot.
Butcher Blade still has a little bit of work to do for me, but yeah, I mean, Lucha Brothers, FTR, Young Bucks, are you kidding me? It's like, is this an all-star game?
Butcher and Blade are kind of the dark horses. They're there.
Sure.
They need a little bit more defining, I think, because we still haven't figured out what they are again. Like we knew what they were, and they had the bunny and everything, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, but now they're kind of dressing like Clockwork Orange and having a lot more kind of fun, silly character. I don't know. Haven't quite figured that out yet, but I have figured out Private Party, Nick, and they had a match against Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, who had a title match last week, and they've just been putting the title on the line every week. I don't even know why we have a number 1 contender spot because they put it on the line every freaking week. Well, they put it on the line again.
It's irrelevant at this point.
Well, and it also seems to be irrelevant to have anyone go up against them because they're just going to lose. I didn't expect Private Party to take it off. And at this point, Page and Omega are kind of like what we had with Pete Dunne in NXT UK, where it was like, you've got to bring someone along that we believe is legitimate enough to take them out, or they're going to have to implode. But they're not telling the implosion story anymore. They're getting along great in the ring. They're kind of like teasing it every once in a while, but this week we had no hint of an implosion. And if that's the story thgoing to tell, they've got to tell that more often.
Yeah.
Like you can't just let it slip. Otherwise we're like, oh, I guess Page and Omega are okay. They're who's going to beat them? Because all those great tag teams Who's going to beat him?
Well, listen, there's a little bit of psychology both last week and this week still going on between Paige and Omega. And I think there are some rumors out there now that the Paige, I've heard a couple of places say that their Paige wants to go back to Omega wants to go back to the cleaner gimmick, his old New Japan gimmick.
Oh, I heard people were pressuring him to, and he was like, dude, I did that. I'm a different Kenny Omega now.
Fair enough. It's being discussed.
Well,
whether or not he wants to, I think is ultimately going to be up to him. But I think Kenny Omega being in a tag team with Hangman Page, that's got to pay off at some point. And yes, they've been champions now for several months, and we've been teasing back and forth. Stop starting. It feels a little bit like we were feeling about Bayley and Sasha. It's starting to get into that territory where I'm like, okay, pull the trigger already. Let's go.
Do it. Come on.
Yep.
Let's go.
So they've been hinting at it the last 2 weeks still. So, yeah. I don't know.
Or don't do it and give me someone I can believe might be able to take him out.
Right.
Is it FTR? Does FTR go get the belts and then we have them kind of lording over the tag team division? Or does someone else like the Lucha Brothers need to get it? Like a heel team? Like I don't know. You've got teams that you could build to be legitimate against Page and Omega, but right now they've gone through all of the basically the tag team mid card.
Yeah.
You got no one left. You got to do something. They got to do something.
Do something.
They got to do something.
I want to give a shout out to Private Party on the double Spanish fly, however. Good Lord.
Awesome. Yeah.
Good Lord.
You want to talk about spot monkeys. Those guys need to work a little bit on ring storytelling but they've got the spots there. Like once they kind of bring it down to actually telling a story in the ring and focusing on that more, they're going to be absolutely unbelievable. I can see why AEW invested in them. I can see why Matt Hardy is ringside investing in them. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So speaking of investing in someone, Nick,
ringside investment.
You're a fan of Lance Archer, aren't you?
Yes. More so after this week. He's back.
Lance Archer versus Joey Janela, and what I can only be described as little man tries, big man kills.
Wielding a sunny kiss, I should say.
He comes out, Lance Archer comes out to the ring with Sunny Kiss slung over his shoulder like a sack of wet potatoes. Hucks her down. Out. She just spends most of the match selling outside the ring, while Joey Janela's trying gamely to not get his ass too beat, which doesn't really work out so well for him. This was booked how I thought it should be booked. Reestablish Lance Archer as being a near unstoppable monster. Establish Joey Janela as being a crazy son of a bitch who just won't stay down unless you kill him, which Lance Archer did by giving him a blackout off the apron onto a table, smashing his head into the table a few times, and then rolling him back in for the pin. He did. That boy did. Oh, Lance, you done killed him. He's dead.
He threw a sunny kiss onto Joey Janela through a table. And then just roars and everybody dies and he's out. And meanwhile, Jake the Snake has got the snake out over there distracting the ref, and this is exactly what I wanted Lance Archer to be.
It's funny,
goddamn monster just doing
Jake
crazy
almost
shit.
Cost Archer the match, though. It made me wonder how long Jake is going to be for Archer because, he distracts the ref, but Sunny Kiss is the one that gets in and does some moves on Archer. And almost cost Archer the match. So Jake's got to be careful there. But yeah, we're back to form. The only thing I worry about is Joey Janela is supposed to be back on the upswing with Sunny Kiss. Maybe they're going to come back as a tag team, and that's going to be on the upswing, but I don't really see that going far in this tag division.
No.
So I'm curious what the long game is here with Joey, if this is just going to be another bust for him, because it's been bust after bust after bust. And that's part of what this angle is for Joey is, hey, I've lost myself. I lost who I am. Does he have a story post this match with Archer, or does he move on to something else? Who knows? I think he should move on to something else because Archer shouldn't be losing to a guy like Joey Janela. All respect to Joey Janela, but that's not what Archer's role should be.
No, and I feel like they went too fast. We should have had more with Joey and Sunny Kiss in their little, I wanted to see more of the street fights at the gas station and stuff like that. Do some more of those for a month. Build them up as something. And even if they're just at each other's ringside while they're having matches, maybe not throw them at the most dangerous man in the division. Maybe not have this whole program built around can they topple the Murder Hawk.
Well, and this is the problem with them setting up monsters to lose. Wardlow, Lance Archer, possibly Brian Cage. They bring in Brody Lee. You bring in monsters and then have them lose their first match, Jeff Cobb, and then you have to spend time building them back up again. So, and then, you've got to actually navigate how to build them back up legitimately without just using nothing but enhancement.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm looking at Lance Archer. I'm like, okay, cool. He's got a good win here. Move him on to someone else he can beat definitively, who maybe isn't on a redemption angle like Joey Janela is. So, speaking of Brian Cage, Nick, Taz came out with Cage to have an interview with Tony Schiavone. This was a twist. What's a twist? He came out with a sack, a little black velvet sack. And out of that sack, he produced a belt. And he said, this belt used to mean something long, long ago, and no company's ever recognized it. But the one thing that it is for the baddest guy on the planet. And it's the FTW belt. And on the front of this belt, the little couple little orange stickers, then the big letters FTW, which of course stands for F the world.
It's not very nice.
It's if you're a salty bastard that can't get a match from the champion, you go make yourself this belt, just declare yourself the champion. That's what Taz did back in 1998 in ECW. He couldn't get a title match, so he ended up making his own belt and saying, well, I'm just the uncrowned champion. So here it's back again. It's only ever existed. We talked about it a bit on the news show on BWO Daily. It was only ever been in two companies, and that's ECW and XPW. XPW, it was only in a couple of matches, and it wasn't. I don't believe it was legitimate. I don't believe it was a legitimate title. They kind of made up a fake one, from what I understand. The only one that I remember is, back in ECW when Taz couldn't get Shane Douglas's title because Shane was injured, and then Sabu was the only other guy who held it. So the legitimate belt, and this was the belt that Taz brought out, was the original FTW belt. Not the original, but it was the one that Taz used to carry around in ECW. Right. It's the real one. Taz owns the copyright. So he can do whatever he wants with this. That's only ever been held, the legitimate one, by Taz and Sabu, who both qualify as genuine badass human beings. And I wouldn't want to mess with either of them in the ring. No. So him giving this to Cage, I thought was a very strong statement. The question is, Nick, you've got Cage coming out to, the first thing we hear is, who can stop the path of Cage? And now he's got the FTW belt, so he's supposed to be this big badass. If he loses to Moxley next week, does that cut the legs out from all of this?
I'm not sure he's going to
lose. You think at this point he's going to be a double champ and have two belts? Because he brings out this. What's he going to have? The FTW belt and the heavyweight championship? I don't see it.
I think it's very possible. I think there are some personal things going on right now. Renee is sick, or at least was. I hear she's recovering.
They both tested negative as of a day ago.
Good. I didn't know that. So fantastic. Chris, again, with the super chat. Thank you, sir. Said, loved this. ECF&W.
ECF&W, man.
I hear you, man.
And it's funny. People were actually saying this was underwhelming. Taz was hyping this all week. Tony Khan said it's going to shake the foundations of wrestling. It obviously didn't shake the foundations of wrestling. This is Taz's little pet belt thing. But if you were an ECW fan like I was when this thing came out, you marked out.
I did.
A lot of people were saying, no one remembers this. Really? Then you don't remember history.
I went back and looked in our chat to see, because I watched it later on Wednesday night. I didn't get to watch it live, unfortunately, but I went back and looked, and there was some conversation happening in there. Get it, a little plug for the Discord, by the way. You guys don't want to miss that. You should be there for the live chats.
I mean, to be clear, I get it if people aren't into this because it is basically just a prop for Taz's ego.
It's a nostalgia poke.
Sure. That's how I took it as a nostalgia thing. Yeah. I didn't take it as Taz putting himself over or him stroking his own ego, although that's definitely, I think, a little part of it. But he's a wrestler, and he's an old school wrestler. That's kind of part of the game. But at the same time, I thought this was a cool idea. It's a way to keep Cage looking somewhat legitimate if he loses to Moxley. But I truly feel they have to have some sort of fudge finish with that Moxley match, like Cage gets himself DQ'd or something, where he doesn't come away with the heavyweight championship, but he doesn't straight up lose to Moxley.
No, I don't think it'll be a clean finish,
build,
but I do think
they have to.
Cage will win. Yep. I don't think it's going to be clean, but I do think Cage will win.
I don't know. We shall see.
Moxley's had it long enough, and it hasn't been a very good run, to be honest. And I don't know that that's entirely his fault. It's the worst possible time in wrestling history to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So without venues and without all that kind of stuff that we're used to. So maybe part of Mox's gimmick was the crowd, as it is with a lot of wrestlers.
He comes out through the crowd.
He needs that crowd interaction and those pops. So does Mox work right now as champion if he doesn't have a Taz mouthpiece, if he doesn't have a Brian Cage that comes out, who can stop the path of Cage?
Well,
that sounds very doom
let's
and
be
gloom,
clear.
right?
Cage can cut a promo. Taz can cut a better promo.
Agreed.
By light years.
Yeah.
Moxley is a much better promo. Moxley doesn't need help on the mic.
No.
He's a good promo as well.
Yeah.
So that's the deal with Cage. But anyway, I don't see Cage taking the heavyweight championship. I think this belt actually will help legitimize him, but I don't think he should straight up lose to Moxley, because then you've cut his legs off. Sure. Who can stop the path of Cage? This guy, the first guy he faces, the first major match he has.
Yeah.
First guy who's not enhancement. He can stop the path of Cage. There you go. Another monster you just poured water all over. But one guy who's actually starting to win some matches, he was losing for a while, now he's winning. That would be one Colt Cabana.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. Colt Cabana had a match with Dark Order. He was teaming up with Brody Lee against SCU and Stu Grayson. Excuse me. Sorry, Stu. And Stu Grayson against SCU, who were, of course, responsible for bringing in Colt Cabana to help them fight Dark Order. Oh, how the turns have tabled. And here we are.
Tables have turned. Okay. I'm with you. Yeah.
Just go with it.
Yeah.
So here we are, Colt Cabana in this match. He comes out and they show him in the back, and he has this hematoma on his side. He's on the table. That was a legitimate hematoma, by the way. That was not gimmicked. That was not faked. He legit has that injury. It looked like he had an alien growing out of his side.
Yes.
His entire side was purple and blue, and there's like this lump right above his hip that just and Brody Lee's like, "You're fine. Let's go do the match."
But
you'll be fine, kiddo.
Okay.
But Mr. McMahon.
Right.
Yes,
Mr. Brody.
Yes, Mr. Brody. Kind of reminiscent of CM Punk saying that the medical staff at WWE would force them to go out and wrestle and be like, take a Z-Pack, you'll be fine. No, I'm not saying that's what they were explicitly saying. I'm not saying that, you know what I mean? Anyway, they go out to the ring, and we have a nice little match going on. And at a certain point, Colt Cabana goes to pin Chris Angel, the Dark Angel, Christopher Daniels. I'm just going to call him Chris Angel from now on. And he doesn't. And Daniels gets on him like, what? Oh, he breaks up a pin. Chris Daniels is trying to win.
Stu Grayson was pinning him, and Mr. Brody comes in, breaks it up, and then says, no, go tag Colt.
Well, no, that's after that. I'm saying that he gets into it. Like, they have a little face-off, him and Christopher Daniels, where Christopher Daniels is like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing with these guys?
I got you.
And then Stu and Brody beat down Chris Daniels and let Colt get the pin. Colt gets the pin, has the big goofy grin on his face like, I'm winning. So here, the Faustian deal that he's made with Dark Order is starting to come to fruition. He's starting to get those wins that he so desired. We still have the bit of the hesitation in him where he's like, I don't know if this is good, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
He has a new T-shirt out where they have Colt Cabana on it, and the O is kind of scuffed, so it looks like it says Colt Cabana.
Colt Cabana, nice.
Yeah, it's cute. But this seems to be going along swimmingly. This storyline with the Dark Order converting Colt, which is frankly the most interesting thing they've done in their existence so far. I liked having them all lined up along the stage to show their numbers. I like the fact that they don't have to wear their masks necessarily. So sometimes we see the guy like Alex Silver, and we can see the guys underneath. So I like what they're doing with Dark Order right now. But here's the problem, Nick. What is the end game? Because either Colt becomes completely indoctrinated and goes heel, and we lose Colt Cabana for hopefully a significant period of time, or we have a Colt tries to break free from the cult angle and ultimately breaks free and delegitimizes Dark Order as a force that can get and hold people?
I feel like it's going to be some form of the latter of those two. I believe it's going to be Colt gets in, he likes winning, he gets a little taste, right? And then he starts to get addicted to it, but then he's reminded by maybe Christopher Daniels comes in and consoles him or something like that. And if this was Nick booking, it'd be like, Colt, you're in. We need you to break it up from the inside. Some storyline along those lines, where it ends up in Colt Cabana versus Brody Lee at some pay-per-view, and he ends up beating Brody Lee, but
Brody Lee just pokes him in the side of the alien on the side. Beep.
Or the alien bursts out of the hematoma and eats Brody Lee, and
that would yeah.
I'd like that a lot, actually.
Like a big centipede thing, like Resident Evil comes out of his side, just
right. Or like it's actually Quado from Total Recall. He just start the reactor.
Open your mind, Mr. Lee. Open your mind.
What if Colt Cabana? Quado Cabana. Yes, that's amazing. Quado Cabana is actually the sentient one, the all-powerful being that is above and beyond Mr. Brody Lee, and he ends up being anointed as the new figure of Dark Order, and Mr. Brody Lee is done. Where's my tinfoil hat? It's around here.
That's now you're going a little
crazy
bit
talk.
Savior of Mars, okay, but like the bright shining star above the Dark Order, maybe not.
Alien bursting out of his guts and eating Brody Lee, okay, but that's nuts.
Let me bring this back down. The point I'm trying to make here, good God, what I'm trying to say here is that I think that it would be bad for Dark Order if Colt gets most of the way in and then gets out.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get in, stay in for a while. Like a long time. Not like a Daniel Bryan in the Wyatt family. Like stay in for a while.
No, he's totally going to pull a Leah Remini, like she did with Scientology. And
sure.
Right? And just do an expose on it, right?
Have him stay in there for a long time first. That way it's more legitimate when he gets out and he's all damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, again, with the super chat. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate this. Give them the air, Cohagen. Give these people air.
Q-O-U Hagen. I think it's C-O Hagen.
It's C-O-H. It's like Copenhagen.
But it's great because that helps you with the Arnold voice. Copenhagen.
Yeah. Give these people the air.
I'll see you with the potty, Richter.
Right.
Oh, don't get me started on Total Recall. Consider that to the puss. All right, we're going to move on before this all becomes Total Recall talk.
Yes.
Nyla Rose, speaking of monsters, Nyla Rose destroyed both Kenzie Page and Kylie King in a 2-on-1. These poor little enhancement girls just got murdered by Nyla. And then Nyla says, you know what? I've realized everyone else around here is a manager and they're winning and they have titles. So you know what? I'm going to get me a manager and I'm going to come back for you, Hikaru Shida, standing at ringside. I see you right there. I'm going to get me a manager. I'm going to come back and I'll tell you that manager is soon. So interesting. We have kind of complained about how everyone has a freaking manager, but at least they kind of acknowledged that.
Yeah.
With this, where they went, yeah, everyone's got a manager.
And all the people that have managers are doing well.
And they are. And frankly, like, it's interesting. It's kind of, I don't mind it. I know that it's a trope that bugs the people, rubs them the wrong way. And I think it can be overdone and overused. I'm not mad at it yet. I'm not.
Who's your speculation? Who do you think it is?
Vicky Guerrero.
I agree. I think it's Vicky.
Vicky Guerrero seems like the most likely one. And a lot of people are like, really? Vicky Guerrero? You have to remember,
we're going to be getting all the excuse me stuff again.
Oh, yeah. And she was one of the most successful managers in WWE for a long time there. She was a successful act, and she was also successful in kayfabe. Yep. And so
she married Edge, you know?
This has me intrigued. If it is Vicky Guerrero, I actually have no idea who else it would be. I mean, maybe Medusa, but that's she's not a good promo.
Awesome Kong's another option potentially. She is part of AEW. So
why would you have Awesome Kong as a manager and not an enforcer?
Well, I mean,
that's unstoppable too. You put Nyla and Kong together. That's
where I was
just
going. Yeah.
Who can stop the path of Kong? You know, I can't. My money's on Vicky. I think that would be a good call.
Yep.
So curious to see where that's going.
Apologies in advance for your ears, folks. If you're not familiar with what we're saying is going to come back, oof.
Yep. It's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Butters in the chat is saying, Vicky, no, she's so annoying. Yes, that's the point. That's the whole literal point. The literal point is that's what she's built her whole career off of, is finding that one heel trick to make everyone in the audience go, oh, God, shut up. Make her stop. Make her stop. Do you remember the heat she used to get? The level of heat that woman used to get was unbelievable. Like, just Google Vicky Guerrero heat.
Excuse me. Just Vicky, go on YouTube and find Vicky Guerrero. Excuse me.
Oh my God.
Some of those you're talking when Roman Reigns came out and he couldn't get a word out because of the level of booze times 10.
Yeah.
She would come out and start going, excuse me.
That audience, some of those audiences, man, they were molten. So I don't know if she still got it. Everyone kind of loves her now, but we shall see if she does something dastardly enough. Speaking of dastardly deeds, Big Swole was suspended in storyline because Britt Baker.
She kidnapped Britt Baker.
Right, and Britt was agitating to get her suspended. And so Swole shows up and gets served papers that she's been suspended. Doesn't make Swole very happy.
No.
She says, like, you could have told me before I drove 3.5 hours here. Right. muttering epithets under her breath as she stalks away. But she shows up later to try to get in Britt Baker's face, be like, I know it was you that got me suspended. And as she's getting into Britt Baker's face, she tries to crumple up the papers she was served and throw them at Britt Baker. Reba accidentally backhands Britt trying to catch them. Britt's nose gets broken. She's screaming bloody murder. There's a security guard there who, instead of chasing off Swole, grabs a palm frond and starts fanning Britt Baker to try to make her feel better. Just a bunch of great comedy stuff. Britt actually legit had to go in and get her deviated septum from when Sheeta broke her nose fixed. And she may have gotten a slight nose job while she was at it. We'll see. It would fit her character. But so she's out for at least a little bit, at least a few weeks.
Just all around knocking it out of the park. I mean, Brad mentioned it as well. Rebel dancing with Sonny Kiss was fantastic. You had the notes getting passed to Tony Schiavone telling him to turn down the pyro. It almost set her on fire. Just little things like that all throughout the show. Just mwah. This is so good, and I really hope they pay it off when she's ready to go again.
She's the bay leaf in their stew.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, we also have Darby Allin, who's still sending in vignettes. This week he was at Travis Pastrana's place doing a coffin drop off of his huge platform. You may have seen if you ever watched Jackass. And Darby basically was looking at the camera saying, hey, Cage, you're the one that put me out. I haven't forgotten about you, but I'm going to do a coffin drop because I don't care if I'm medically not cleared.
Okay.
Cool. You're cool, Darby. You're so edgy. He's just so edgy. So edgy. He's trying so hard to be edgy.
Oh, man.
It's the edgiest try-hard edginess that I've ever tried hard to edge. Yeah, you got to be careful, man.
Hanging out with Tony Hawk, hanging out with Travis Pastrana. Like, okay, all right. I see where this is going. Extreme sports. Yeah, I'm an extreme sports guy.
Did you know I skate? And I've got guys that I skate with, and they're really famous, and they know me. We get it, Darby. We get it. Just come back and wrestle.
One little thing on this, please, is Darby Allin might be one of the breakout people since the AEW Dynamite launched back in October.
Yes.
And since we started doing these black and white vignettes, I was on board with the sort of dragging the body bag around on your compound kind of thing, or somewhere. We don't know where that is.
Yeah,
but this kind of stuff, I'm losing interest real quick.
It's not hitting the right note, and that's the problem. Is that
I don't even know what that note is supposed to be.
Well, again, he's always had the kind of like the edgy thing going on, but it always felt like kind of a gimmicked, suicidal, crazy guy thing, and now it feels more like edgy skater boy, BOI boy thing going on here, and that doesn't seem as cool as the other gimmick. And again, that just could be me telling the kids to get off my lawn.
A little bit.
But, well, maybe, but at the same time, like...
I'm over here saying it too.
this shit's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like this kind of counterculture, this kind of skater culture. This has been around for a long time. And this take on it wasn't cool when I was into this shit.
Yeah.
So I know it ain't cool now. No. So I'd love to hear from other, if we have any younger listeners, are you looking at Darby and being like, wow, he's so cool? Or are you like, try harder, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm very curious because to me it seems very, very try hard. But all right, I don't want to harp on that because I do respect him as a wrestler and I think he's a good talent. I just think this is just the wrong direction for him. But that was Fyter Fest week 2. That was the entire show. Oh wait, no, that wasn't the entire show, Nick, because we had the AEW Puppy Battle Royale, sponsored by Angels Among Us Pet Rescue, which I have to admit seemed like it was one lady in her backyard with a bunch of puppies. But like one litter of puppies, but okay, whatever. At least it's for a good cause. And you had a bunch of puppies come out. You had 4 female puppies representing Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose, Brandy, and Penelope Ford. And all of them self-eliminated out of the ring except for Penelope Ford, who stayed in there. So Penelope Ford puppy wins. And then on the boys' side, you had Orange Cassidy, John Moxley, who both self-eliminated. And then, of course, MJF puppy wins. So Penelope Ford and MJF puppy win. This is some heel favor and horse pucky right there. That's all I got to say about that.
It was cute, but even I self-eliminated trying to watch it.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what the heck you were trying to say with that. Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, Nick. As a gimmick, this brought eyes to AEW. It got a lot of people's attention. It was cute enough for what it was. I feel like they could do more with this. Again, all the puppies kind of looked the same. They obviously were from the same litter. So none of them really had any personality other than like 1 or 2 of them had like sunglasses that were nearby. They didn't dress them up in any way. They didn't do anything to like identify them as these wrestlers other than just call them by that name. It was cute. They beat the crap out of the referee. So, okay, fine. Again, the whole point was that this was cute puppies. And I think it's a great idea. But I think it's a great idea. Just, they need to do more with it. Let's get more different kinds of puppies. Let's actually have like them. I don't know. I feel like they could do more with this.
Just pull a Bob Barker and say spay and neuter your pets and adopt. You know, just do something. This felt very like
Shivani was the best part of this.
He was, and it felt like he was totally. And they even said
this is
that
better
Shivani,
than any match I called in 2000. Oh God!
Hot fire. So to me, this is like, are you wanting to do something for a good cause? Great. Spay and neuter your pets. Don't adopt from shelters. Great.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Butters is mentioning they do this for the Super Bowl as well, and they do the Puppy Bowl. Sure. But that's like a whole bunch of different breeds of puppies, and they have like storylines going on. This was as simple as possible.
Yeah, there's like 50 dogs.
I'm saying like, go big with it next time.
Yeah.
Let's go crazy with it. This is a great idea, and I think it's smart of them to have taken this from the Super Bowl and run with it on their own terms. But go big with it. Yeah. Maybe it was just last minute and they threw this together, but dude, bring this back.
Yeah, let's be honest. This was for YouTube. That's really what it was for.
Absolutely. It was for YouTube. It's for people who want to go aw at puppies. Yeah. I went aw at puppies.
Me too.
Dog Ziggler went nuts. He loves seeing dogs on TV. He was freaking out. So this was for Dog Ziggler and JB.
Yeah.
And also for Jess O'Connor in the chat, $2.99. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jess.
She says, "Release the hounds."
Yes.
Release the hounds. They were released. Luckily, none of them actually released in the ring that we saw. Maybe they edited that out. But you know what else was released, Nick?
Oh boy.
You know what else was released?
I do.
Night 2 of the Great American Bash over on NXT.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Listen, I want to say one last thing about AEW Fyter Fest, the 2-week event.
Oh, okay.
Before we get out of here, there was nothing on that show for night 2 that I had any complaint about. It's very, very rare that we find a show that pitches a perfect game. That show pitched a perfect game Wednesday night. And I say that because there was an opportunity for NXT to do the exact same thing. As we found out, we were going to have a second night of the Great American Bash, one of the most storied pay-per-views and backdrops in wrestling history. And it has all of these ties to it and everything like that. And it was being main evented in a history-setting, history-changing main event. For the first time ever, we would have a 2-belt main event, winner-take-all, between a champion that had the longest reign and arguably one of the most successful reigns against as many defenders as he's had come after it in Adam Cole, and someone who may have made more impact and moments than anybody faster, maybe than I can remember in the history of wrestling, in Keith Lee. And these two were clashing in a main event. Mm-hmm. That shit builds itself. The problem with it for me was basically everything else that was on the show.
Really?
I showed up.
Anything on the show?
I want to say I didn't like. There are things about it that I can sit here and nitpick, juxtaposed to what went on with Fyter Fest, where it was basically they pitched a perfect game. The weight of the matches that happened on Great American Bash Wednesday night didn't carry. It was one big match, and then there's a bunch of other stuff going on, kind of like the New Japan thing we'll talk about later. But funny how that works out, right? So all of these matches that we're going to talk about, the first one we're going to talk about, obviously, is our boy.
We got to talk.
The rest of the stuff can.
Yeah, we'll rip through it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the main event, because that was the reason to watch Great American Bash Night 2. And Nick, would you do the honors, please? Because we can't talk about our boy Keith Lee without saying.
For he is
it around there? Did we do it?
Oh, he is limitless.
Yes.
Oh man.
I can't hear those bumps but
yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I will trust that it is there, and it was exactly what it should be, because bask in his glory, Keith Lee beat Adam Cole for both belts. I mean, we'll get into the match in a second. It was a great match. It was a lot of fun. But let's just talk about the fact that they just strapped our boy Keith Lee in the most major way possible.
Yes. All the rub.
His history-making, major moment, major event. Just a crime it didn't happen in front of a crowd, but they still made it as big of a moment as they could on TV with tons of confetti and sparklers, and they made it a big deal. It's all over social media. It's everyone's coming out of the woodwork to congratulate Keith Lee. So yeah, huge deal.
I said it on BWO Daily, and I wanted to pinch myself, and I wanted to say it again for the show today. It was not even 2 years ago.
Yeah,
we went to the Globe to see, I think it was it Three Mendes or something like that, where we saw Keith get the title.
Yeah, where
and I stood next to the man.
Beat Chucky T.
Yep. I stood next to the man and asked him for a bumper, and he graciously gave one, only for me to realize that I hadn't hit the record button. I had missed it with my thumb on my phone, and he did it again. So when you guys hear us play...
This is the limitless Keith Lee.
That was the second time that he did that in a row. Fun little story for you. Nicest guy, took a picture, great to chat with, soft-spoken, but he's massive. I'm 5'11", 220, and that man, I'm looking up at him like, that's a big
Yeah, no, he's a wonderful guy, and this was definitely deserved in lots of ways. We've been obviously selling him to you guys on this show since he came to NXT and been like, Keith Lee's great. Well, here we are. Now we're at the point where obviously WWE has realized what they have as well. Whether that was from the rub he got from Roman Reigns at Survivor Series, all the incredible stuff he did there, obviously impressed some higher ups. They are strapping this boy, and they have some big things planned for him, obviously. The question now is, what happens next? He's got 2 belts.
I've been trying to tell you for weeks.
Karrion Kross is in the rafters, cackling with Scarlett about this as he's watching Keith Lee celebrate with his 2 titles. Of course, the hourglass was left in the ring by by Scarlett from Karrion Kross for Adam Cole, but Keith Lee was the one to grab it from Cole and smash it. I wonder if that was foreshadowing.
So I said a couple weeks ago, he's the one in the back where he came in and he smashed it, and then later Karrion Kross, you saw his boot come in at the very end of the show and step on it. And look, I think Keith, the first order of business, has dropped the North American title to a Balor, to a Gargano, to someone, and then it's going to be onwards and upwards to Karrion Kross.
How quickly, though, is my question. Does Karrion wait for the rest of the year, and then Lee gets called up around Royal Rumble?
I do think Keith's going to be in the Royal Rumble. I do think I'll call my shot now. I think he could win the Royal Rumble.
Oh, I don't think he's main eventing WrestleMania. I don't think that's going that quick.
Well, all right. You didn't think he was going to win last night or Wednesday night either, so hang tight. I think he's going to be in the Royal Rumble, and that's going to be his sort of debut. Like, he's already been he's been in Survivor Series. That was kind of a fluke because of Saudi Arabia. We sort of wrote it off for that, but he was also made an appearance in the Royal Rumble along with Gargano and others, right? So I think this year is going to be a big debut for him. He's going to come up. It's going to be a big deal, but I think by the end of the year he will have dropped it to Karrion Kross. Is that a short transitional kind of reign? It's not. Yeah, I don't think it's on the caliber of an Adam Cole, but I think he's. I think he's on a fast track to the main roster.
Well, and this is the thing is not everyone has to have a year plus reign.
Right.
And just because you have a 3-month reign doesn't mean you're transitional. It feels transitional after such a huge reign from Adam Cole.
Right.
But that's the nature of the beast. If it was a week, a 2-week, less than a month, I'll say transitional. But if Keith holds it till the fall, you know,
the takeover around Survivor Series. So October, November time frame. I'd say he drops it there and then maybe goes away for a month and then shows up on the main roster around Christmas time in his Santa hat and then shows up in the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I think he could explode.
One wonders how fast they're going to jump him up the card and call him up. I mean, I wonder if they're going to build NXT around him for a while, if that's their plan, or if this was just giving him a big moment, knowing he wasn't going to be in NXT for very long. Either way, obviously the sky is the limit for Keith at this point.
Yeah.
You know, we just, Nick, for if you're a patron, you heard our bonus episode where we talked about the sky, like what the ceilings are for all these NXT talents and what our predictions were. And we had a prediction for Keith Lee 2 years ago. We were like, dude, if the right people see the right things out of Keith Lee, there is no limit. He is literally limitless. Like, he could become a top person in WWE. So this is a major step that way. I did not see them giving him this much of a rub. Obviously, I was being pessimistic or pragmatic. So I am more than happy to eat that crow because I love seeing this happen to a guy like Keith Lee, who has all the talent and is a good human being. So now the other question is, what happens to Adam Cole?
That's the bigger question to me.
That's a really big question, because if he's not the top dude, what is he in a very stacked NXT? Because I think we can all agree Adam Cole getting called up to main roster is pretty much a death knell.
Yeah.
Like, he's fantastic, but and obviously next best thing to Shawn Michaels, but he's not even as big as Dolph Ziggler.
No.
And Ziggler couldn't get the Shawn Michaels thing off the ground.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's much room for Adam Cole in the main roster.
No, and back at the end of May, I mean, he got very vocal. There was speculation around on Twitter, I should say. There was a lot of speculation around his contract, if I'm remembering this right, and then we found out that he had another 18 months or signed for another something. He had 18 months left. So, I mean, yeah, could he continue to do stuff? Could we? And I think I speculated on the show, we go off and we do an Undisputed Era breakup angle after he drops it to Keith Lee. While Keith is going off and dropping the North American to a Balor or a Grimes or a Gargano and then goes on to face Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship, Adam Cole goes off, and we end up doing an Undisputed Era long-term breakup angle sort of thing over the next 6 to 12 months.
The one thing I could see is if all 4 Undisputed Era guys come up as a faction and act like jackals, you might be able to get some traction with them on the main roster.
Yeah.
I can't see them being taken seriously the way they were in NXT on the main roster, and B, I can't see Vince not messing with the formula.
Yeah. No, he'd want to put them in like colored costumes and stuff and just,
oh God.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yep. No.
All right. Here's the plan. You're all going to wear bow ties.
Right.
You're going to come out, and we're going to paint you all green. And you're going to be Martian men. You're the undisputed Martian era. UME.
Oh, boy.
It rolls off the tongue. It's good shit, pal.
Do it with your hands. The ME thing.
Can you make little Martian beeping sounds? You know, like on the old TV shows. Like when I was a kid, the serials. Meep, 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 meep.
Or worse, it's Mars Attacks.
I'm Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah, right, exactly. Wop.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So, yes, to me, this absolutely does prove that Keith Lee is limitless. I think there is his ceiling is that I don't know that there is a ceiling right now for Keith Lee. I think he's bashed through every single faux ceiling that we thought he might run into. WWE likes its fit guys, its cut up guys. It talks about their abs all the time. I was worried that Keith would come in as a bigger boy. He's husky, as my grandma would say. And would he see success? And boy, has he. So there's that one out the window. Now, what's the next obstacle for Keith?
Keith is, if we're talking about Keith's body type, he's completely unique where he's a throwback.
Yeah.
He's just a big wall of meat. And it's a ton of muscle in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like he's not in shape. The dude is in massive shape. But that's neither here nor there, Nick. We agree that Keith's going all the way to the moon. We're both happy for him. This was an amazing moment this week. But let's talk about the rest of the show because we got a lot to get through.
If you insist.
I know I want to dwell on it too, but we got to talk about Keith's significant other, Mia Yim, also having a match against Candice LeRae. It was a street fight. It opened up the whole show. And I wish I could say I liked this more, Nick. But it was my big problem was it felt very choreographed. It felt very arbitrary. There wasn't a lot of psychology in the match. It was two chicks hitting each other with a lot of stuff and going places to do spots and then kind of arbitrarily doing other spots other places. And then Candice LeRae puts Mia Yim through a table, and that's the end of the match. It was a bit of a letdown because I think they could have done a lot with this.
I don't want to be hard on them. The performance was fantastic.
Same. And they took some serious shots.
And they were not pulling hits.
No.
They were hitting the shit out of each other. Kendo sticks, trash can lids. Talking to spots, that twisting neck breaker thing off the top rope onto a mountain of chairs.
Great spot.
Great spot. Listen, they took an ass whooping. Both of them did. And I don't want to take anything away from that. Did it need a big storyline? No, it's been building to this. So the second only, a very far distant second to the main event of the night and what went down with Keith Lee and Adam Cole. I didn't love this, but I also enjoyed the spectacle of it. And I was sitting there with eyes wide, just Lord, what kind of shots are these two girls going to take next? So.
But again, for me, and you hear people complain about spot fests, like saying that the tag match in AEW was a spot fest. Yeah, that actually had a story in psychology. This was just two women, right? But this was just two women hitting each other, and there wasn't a lot of rhyme or reason why they were going places or doing certain things, or you didn't feel like I'm going to grab this weapon because this will help me gain an advantage. It was just, well, I'm supposed to go get the weapon at this point.
Yeah.
In the match, according to the booking.
Yeah.
And that was my issue with this, was it did feel very arbitrary in a lot of points. I like Mia Yim using brass knuckles as a weapon. That's her weapon that she brings out. I didn't like her losing the brass knuckles to Candice and taking a hit in the face before that swinging neckbreaker onto the chairs that you mentioned.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Candice needed a win. She got a win. This cements her heel character. Mia Yim can eat a loss. At this point, she's established she's a badass chick. All right, cool.
Keith has had his fight with Gargano, where he got stabbed in the eyes with keys. Now Mia Yim and Candice LeRae have had their thing. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
Does it lead to a Gargano, what I think will be a Gargano Keith Lee for the North American Championship bout at some point in the next few weeks? Yeah. So here's the big thing show-wide that I wanted to say. Like, these two matches felt like a Great American Bash, felt like a pay-per-view, felt like the caliber thing. Everything else felt like generic Wednesday night
I would disagree because let's talk about Johnny Gargano versus Swerve Scott.
Sure.
A match thrown together last week because there was a backstage scuffle.
Sure.
And they came out, I thought this was a banger match. I actually thought Swerve showed some more stuff than he showed in a while. He brought out some crazy good stuff, some moves we haven't seen before. He and Gargano had great chemistry. The only problem was we didn't have a whole lot of stakes for the match because it was just thrown together. But the match itself was fantastic.
Sure, it could have. I think it could have been better. I think it could have been more. And I'm mostly pissed that I think Johnny Gargano could have eaten the pin here.
No, again, they're trying to make Johnny and Candice look strong because they just both got their asses kicked by Keith Lee, which they had to do on Keith's way at winning both championships to make Keith look strong. Okay, so now they have to get some wins back.
Fine.
And Johnny and Swerve had a great match. It was very back and forth. Either one could have won, but I thought this was a pay-per-view quality match. It just had no build, and so there was no foundation for it.
Yeah,
but in terms
was
of the
it
work,
worthy of the Great American Bash is really the takeaway that I'm...
If you came back to this match in a year, you'd be like, damn, that was a good match.
Okay.
It was a good pay-per-view quality match. I think just sitting in it right now and watching all the builds and everything going on around it, if you just came back this later and they were like, Swerve and Johnny have beef, and you watch this match, you'd probably be like, damn, that was a pretty good match. Give it another shot.
Hey, Siri.
Oh, no.
Remind me 1 year from now to go back and watch Johnny Gargano versus Swerve Scott on the Great American Bash Night 2.
I'll be shocked if she gets all that.
You'll need to download one.
All right, well, never mind. She's still useless.
What a useless crap program Siri
it's
is.
awful. I can't stand
It's
it.
the
Any
most
of those
useless
assistants are
piece
just
of
terrible.
crap.
So
Nice try.
yeah, listen, I agree with you. Love Gargano, love Killshot, Swerve Scott. Hey, you know what? I was going to give Apple a
burn in
chance
hell,
to shine
Steve Jobs.
live right here on the BWO show, but yeah, I did like the match. I like these two working together. They do incredibly well in the ring. I felt like I could have seen this on a regular episode of NXT. I didn't think it was worthy of what they were telling us was a pay-per-view without a pay-per-view, but they were actually just counter-programming Fyter Fest over on the other channel.
They threw a lot of stuff together to try to counter-program.
Exactly. And it felt like it was about the only thing besides Candice LeRae and Mia Yim that had any inkling of story that you could very loosely tie to it to make it a match.
Let's talk about the trios match, Legado de Fantasma versus Drake Maverick and Breezango. There's a ton of story here. Drake's got mad beef with Hijo de Fantasma, Santos Escobar. And this was the first time we've really seen him try to get his hands on him. We've seen them in trios action in this match. This was a great advancement of that storyline. And I don't know what the hell Breezango has to do with any of this, but it was a good match.
It was fun.
It was entertaining. Yeah. And it was the money for me was seeing how fired up Drake was. Like he's so invested and he's such a great performer that you really felt his hatred for Santos Escobar. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing that you look for a lot is if a character has been sold to you as absolutely hating another character, right? There was the time where you had Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and Dean had turned on Seth, and they'd hate each other, right? Just blood feud. You've done these horrible things to me. I'm going to kill you. And their match starts, and they go into a headlock, right? They lock up.
Yeah,
they lock up, and you're like, you're going to lock up with a guy you hate? No, you'd come out furious. You wouldn't be able to wait for the bell. You'd attack him right off the bat. You'd lay into him. This match, they had to hold back Drake Maverick until the bell rang. And even then, they had a hard time holding him back from Santos Escobar. Like, dude, just wait. We have to wait till the bell rings. He's just like, I want you. Get in the ring right now. He's trying to get on his case. That's what I'm saying. Drake is selling that he hates Santos Escobar. He is selling that angle so well that it's fast. You're staring at it like, oh, what's going to happen? So he's the money in this. Escobar is a great character. The storyline is fantastic. Breezango are curtains. They're window dressing. You know what I mean? They're there to actually work a good match with Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. But the real money is Drake and Santos. And this was just This one was an advancement of that storyline, and I thought a fine one.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad at it.
Breezango, I mean, they're fun to watch, sure, but I would have loved to have seen more just Drake versus Phantasma. I feel like there's more story to tell there. Let's build the... You spent all this time in this grand redemption story of Drake Maverick, and you spent all of this time building around the cruiserweight division.
Papa Triple H, I want it now.
But
Give it to me now.
On the Great American Bash,
yes.
yes.
Now.
If you're going to do it on the Great American Bash, put some.
No, that's what the other. You've got bigger matches for that. This is setting up for later.
All right.
This was a big match, and honestly, I thought Legado de Fantasma. Those guys are smooth as silk. That's an awesome faction.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more out of them. This whet my appetite for more. This didn't leave me sitting there going, "I'm wrestling. I want Drake Maverick and Santos Escobar in a cage now. I want this feud to be over now." It's just getting started, dude. Just getting started. Why are you so mad at NXT this week?
Why are you making fun of me so much?
I'm not. Oh,
you hurt my little feelings.
So sensitive.
Yeah.
So sensitive.
No,
okay,
listen, I wanted the Great American Bash to remind me of how awesome the Great American. Go back and watch a Great American Bash from, I don't know, way back.
Know.
Right?
I know.
Some of the biggest cards. And now it just feels like, what do we do about Fyter Fest? You guys have a match, and you guys have a match, and oh yeah, we got this thing going on. You guys have a match. That's what it felt. It felt very just scatterbrained and all over the place. Thrown together.
It kind of was thrown together. I agree. It did feel that way. I was still entertained.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad at it. I also was entertained by the debut of Mercedes Martinez, with the re-debut, the re-debut of Mercedes
3
Martinez.
times now? Yeah.
Sure. But now we've gotten to like final form Mercedes Martinez with like she's got the whole crazy gimmick. I was wondering how they were going to separate her from Mia Yim, because Mia Yim kind of took Mercedes' old gimmick.
Yeah.
So they've made Mercedes Martinez into like basically like Diablo 3 necromancer, like evil dungeon queen thing going on.
Ian's been playing a lot of Diablo lately, guys.
It's a new season. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So she's looking terrifying. She comes out looking terrifying. She had a match with happy to be here Santana Garrett, who got some offense in, but Mercedes just basically beat her down.
Santana Garrett would have been an even better Wonder Woman than Gal Gadot. She looks the part.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And don't sleep on Santana Garrett, guys.
Nope.
She's fantastic. She's she was one of the most. I had a lot of hype around her signing and coming over from the Indies, because holy smokes, that girl's got talent.
Yep, the next Deonna Purrazzo.
Unfortunately, probably.
Sorry, that's what she's looking like right now.
Yep.
Whereas Mercedes Martinez looks like she might be a future champ.
Possibly.
That they gave her a major look here. So, and she feels legitimate. She feels strong. So yeah, liking what they're doing with Mercedes Martinez. Looking forward to seeing more. Also liking what they're doing with Bronson Reed, the thick boy, after getting his butt kicked by Karrion Kross in a really fun match. This week had a match with Tony Nese. It was basically abs versus no abs.
Not abs.
Six pack versus a keg,
right,
as they said on commentary.
There you go.
This was also a fun match. As you said, Nick, no real story here, but I thought they did a lot with very little. I was entertained by this match as well. I'm loving what they're doing with Bronson Reed. He feels like if Otis had like a dark twin brother.
Yeah. That's that's a really good way to put it.
Evil Otis, only he's not really evil. He's
Otis.
Just like, he's like the dark half of Otis.
That's funny.
Another big thick boy who can have fun and go out there and have a little fun. Not quite as much fun as Otis, because no one has as much fun as Otis.
Oh yeah.
But Bronson's very charismatic. He gets you invested in him, and he's athletic enough that you don't feel like he's out of shape big. He's a big athletic boy.
He's thick.
He's thick. Yeah. But he's not like AC Romero at his worst,
right,
where you're just like, oh, buddy. AC's on a diet right now, man. AC lost a ton of weight. Good for him.
Good.
But yeah, I thought this was cool too. Tony did a great job selling for Bronson. Bronson did a good job throwing Tony around. This was very fun. And the fact that they actually were willing to have Bronson have a get back match after Karrion Kross means they want to keep him strong. They've got something in mind for him. I don't know what, but they've been giving him some love. They've been giving him some love, so I'm not mad at that. Also getting a lot of TV time, Robert Stone. He was backstage thinking he was going to sign Shotzi Blackheart, who was polishing up her tank. That didn't go over so well. She quickly rejected him, and then he threw his water. Unfortunately, he threw it accidentally into the face of Killian Dane, who apparently is nowhere and everywhere at the same time.
He's omniscient.
He's never, like, we never see him have matches. He's never really around unless you throw water randomly behind you, and then he's standing 3 feet behind you.
So he's a Mogwai.
He's Schrodinger's Killian Dane. He's there. Or
he's neither there
is
nor,
he alive
nor
or is
not
he,
there.
He's both alive and dead at the same time.
Right.
But he was there, so he beat up Robert Stone, put him down. Robert Stone, while lying on the ground, gets run over by Shotzi's little tank and screams like he's getting run over by a real tank.
Brilliant.
How long is this comedy thing with Robert Stone do you think it will have legs?
Oh, God. Again,
I
should
don't know.
not
This
have been
whole-
on Great American Bash. This is NXT TV fodder.
This was the one thing I was kind of scratching my head about, where I was just like, all right, it's cute, I guess, and he's doing a good job selling here, but
here's the death knell. I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah. And that was kind of the thing. I was like, it's cute, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Right now.
I love Shotzi. I love the tank. I'm happy for Aaliyah being sort of unburdened from Vanessa Bourne. She's improving.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing, and whether or not that's anything to do with Robert Stone or not, she's getting into matches where she's on TV on a regular basis now, and not just a job out to somebody else. She's changed her look. She's working out. Like, Aaliyah is on an upward path and an upward trend. I'm very excited that she could have something else in the tank that we didn't know existed, or that we hadn't been shown yet. Shotzi is, to the moon. But this whole Robert Stone thing and what Killian Dane has to do with it, I simply just don't care. I'm not invested in any way, nor do I have any desire to, frankly.
Well, maybe they can set something up next week that will explain it more and give us a hook, and this is just the setup for it. That's kind of what I'm hoping, because other than that, this was just kind of silly fluff.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all it was on a show where we had probably one of the biggest events in NXT of the last year. So
maybe in history.
That's just, you're partial. But Nick, that was not the only wrestling we have to talk about, because yes, there was a show from WWE last night, and we do need to talk about it, because that's how we heal from these things. So Nick, let's go over and talk about Friday Night Smackdown.
I'm hesitant to even put the Smackdown logo up on the screen, because I'm not sure that was actually an episode of Smackdown.
It was definitely an episode of Smackdown. And what's crazy, I'm going to jump in on you just real quick, because I need you to think back a couple of years. This is how SmackDown was booked for a while. This is how Raw and SmackDown were, like, this is how that felt, right? Do you remember feeling this way, like on a weekly basis?
Not on a weekly basis, no.
On a semi-regular basis.
Sure. I'll go with you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sure.
Like, this is a show that reminded me the quality that they've been, relatively speaking.
Oh, sure.
For the last few months. And I would even say longer. I would say a year. Like, they've actually done a pretty good job of keeping things interesting and or entertaining for a while now. Now, obviously, everyone's got their own peccadillos. Everyone's got their own things that they like and don't like. And WWE is definitely not for everybody, because it is a kid's cartoon of a wrestling show. But the problem with last night's SmackDown was, and I think this is my overall critique, and I'm curious what yours is, I felt that it was lazy. I felt that overall the booking was lazy. There was a lot of spinning wheels. There was a lot of, let's just have this match because we're having something coming up at Extreme Rules. And very little of it was creative, fresh, new, exciting. I can point to two things that I thought stood out as being fresh and new, and one of them was wildly cringy, and I still haven't decided if I liked it or not.
Well,
we're going to go through the show in a second.
Yeah, let's. Overall, you didn't miss anything if you didn't watch it. Come back for the go-home show for Extreme Rules next Friday. Yeah. Because that's probably what my interpretation of this was, they had no idea what to do with this extra week between now and Extreme Rules. Like, everything's pretty much set for Extreme Rules. Well, what do we do next? I know. Yeah, I went out with the boys last week, did some karaoke. Let's do a karaoke tonight on...
Yes, yeah, throwing things together. And we even had what was supposed to be a tag team title match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro versus the New Day. That ended in a no contest. Everyone jumped in the ring, and it would be a big brawl. And then we ended up having the New Day put through a table on the outside to close the show, which I think was their way of getting to the stipulation that we're going to have Extreme Rules. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And honestly, if anything the show did, it did establish Shinsuke and Cesaro as a legitimate threat to New Day. Okay, I don't see them winning the title still. They still feel like a thrown together tag team.
Yeah.
I don't think that they accomplished fixing that problem.
You mean like Sheamus and Cesaro when they first started too?
Yeah, except that had more reason for them to be together.
Sure.
And even that never really. They eventually kind of got an entrance put together. So this is like I get what they were going for here. I feel like they kind of accomplished it. The match was exciting. Everyone's a great worker. I'm looking forward to their match at Extreme Rules when they actually do like a proper pay-per-view quality match, because God, everyone in this match can work like gangbusters. But what I put in the note here was, is this a manufactured feud with enough talent involved to be watchable, but without enough heat to be interesting?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess it's a
the answer is
question.
Yes.
I guess it's a rhetorical question.
Yes.
Let's talk about the fact that we had Bayley and Sasha versus Nikki and Alexa, because, if you've got a singles match coming up between a champion and a challenger, you have to have a tag match coming up where one of them wins.
Do you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
WW Logic. Kyle over in the tips, thank you very much. Super chat, Kyle, $20. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle.
He says it was lazy, and that goddamn karaoke segment disrespects those 4 talented women. Set everybody back 15 years. Might as well be a bikini contest.
Thank you.
That before you look at how damaging it is to Lacey by nature of the turn. Now, you're getting ahead of ourselves here. We got to talk about that karaoke segment later on.
We'll get there, Kyle.
In this segment, we're going to get there. Trust me. We got some things to say. We got some things to say about that, but
trying not to scroll down too far in the note. I almost did. You guys will know why in a bit.
Don't look at the Dominion stuff.
Yep.
So Bayley and Sasha versus Nikki and Alexa. Nikki ends up eating a pin here in front of her match against Bayley. Probably going to be standing tall next week. It's just, to me, this was 101. This is WWE booking 101. We've seen this for weeks now. This didn't change or advance anything. It just was.
Yep. Until we stop Becky Sasha again. For
Bayley,
some reason.
Bayley Sasha.
Sorry, Bayley Sasha. Bayley's.
Right. Yep. This was a time kill. And so we won't spend too much time on it, Nick. Let's talk about the fact that the show opened with Miz TV with Jeff Hardy on it. Miz and Morrison mocking Jeff Hardy for his past troubles with drugs and alcohol, albeit they were actually very humorous about it and they were very entertaining, but still kind of awkward. Before they suggested that Jeff Hardy should have a bar fight with Sheamus at Extreme Rules. And Jeff Hardy goes, well, that's a really good idea. Did Sheamus put you up to that? And of course, Miz and Morrison were like, no. And Jeff Hardy's like, cool. Well, I came out here to be on the show, and I guess I ain't leaving until I beat someone's face in. So let's have a match. One of you guys, whoever, whatever. So we end up having a match with Jeff Hardy and The Miz, which was fine. It was fine. It was what it was. It was just kind of there. It meant nothing. Sheamus is still sequestered. I don't know if it's because he tested positive or what the heck happened, but he hasn't been on the show. He's still hanging out at his bar, drinking Guinness. And so we're going to have a bar fight between Sheamus and Jeff at Extreme Rules. Miz gets beaten clean by Jeff after kind of dominating for most of the match, which, okay, it's a Jeff Hardy match. I really don't have much more to say about this, Nick. It just kind of was. It was more of the same Jeff Hardy stuff. I feel like Jeff has to do this every time he goes and falls off the wagon. He had to do it with CM Punk. Now he's doing it with Sheamus. And it's just kind of like, I know that they're trying to have this be a Jeff Hardy is a role model to everyone who's trying to, get clean and sober. But it feels like WWE hanging him out there for some sort of penitence.
Right. Let's have WWE teach people morals. Let's because that's why I watch wrestling on Friday night at 8:00. Is for a moral imperative and lesson. Get out of here. No, this is so dumb.
this week
I'm over this. I'm just
on a very special WWE SmackDown. Jeff Hardy goes into his troubles with drugs and alcohol.
next week. Jeff Hardy attends an AA meeting, and we
WWE
go
soon. Yeah, WWE soon to have programming on Lifetime. So yeah, this I don't know. All right, it's gonna be a bar fight. It might be crazy fun. You know, it could be a fun match, as long as I stop thinking about the fact that they're basically taking a guy who's trying to recover and shoving his attempt at recovery into his face over and over and over and over and over and over again on TV in front of about 1 million people. I was about to say millions, but it's modern WWE. They don't get that many people watching anymore.
This is gonna hurt, guys.
All right, let's talk about it. There was a karaoke competition between 4 talented female wrestlers. Naomi, Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, and Tamina. Okay, 3 talented wrestlers. And Tamina. No, Tom, come on. I'm busting Tamina's balls. They had a karaoke contest with
Sorry.
Calm down. Shots fired. I feel bad now. I feel bad. That was mean.
Accurate, but mean.
Oh, come on. So Jey Uso is the host. So right off the bat, you knew who was going to win. But he's out there trying to be as over the top and as sell it as hard as possible. Yeah, all right. So basically, they could only do songs that were entrance themes for WWE. So right off the bat, you're cutting the ladies off at the knees. Lacey Evans starts off singing Jeff Jarrett's With My Baby Tonight, which the original song makes me want to stab myself in the ears with ice picks. Lacey Evans doing it didn't help that any.
No.
We then had Dana Brooke come out and do Honky Tonk Man, and I thought she killed it. She had the moves. Honky Tonk Man's song was supposed to be obnoxious. She nailed that. She nailed it. She had the glasses. I thought Dana killed it, but Jay pulled her back halfway through the song. Like, no, man, you terrible. And I was like, oh, come on. Oh, come on. She's fine. I felt like Mel Brooks in History of the World Part 1 when they see Gregory Hines dancing on the stage. Like, no, he's good. He's good. And then we had Tamina, who tried to do Triple H's The Game and didn't know the words and just started headbanging. So they pulled her back. And then we had Naomi come out, and I want to she had the Common Man Boogie, of course, Dusty Rhodes. And she used to be a backup dancer for Jay-Z. So right off the bat, you know she can perform. And she was out there dancing around in some crazy shoes, big old platforms, doing some crazy moves, kind of singing a song. She nailed it. Of the 4 women, she definitely deserved to win, and she did, which Lacey Evans didn't like. And then she attacked Naomi. And we got to the moment that was the best part of the segment, where Naomi just goes, "Oh, I know you didn't." Starts taking out her hoops. And they both start taking off their shoes like they're going to rumble. And Lacey starts trying to hit Naomi in the head with her heel, as you do if you wear heels. JB, I know you're out there somewhere agreeing with this. That was the best part of this. And then we end up having a Lacey Evans and Naomi match, which falls apart because Tamina and Dana Brooke get involved. And there's a big old women's scrum. No one was dressed to compete, which I thought was another good idea because it didn't foreshadow a match. So they were competing. Lacey Evans was competing in a dress. Naomi was competing in a bodysuit. So that was the segment. Nick, I'm going to give you the floor now because I can see you over there just twitching. And obviously everyone heard what Kyle was saying. And real quick, Chris, 1978, $5 in the super chat. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
He says, "What the hell was this?"
Yes.
Lol.
Exactly.
Nick, what did you have to say about this?
Exactly what Chris just said. What the hell was this? Why the hell is Lacey Evans and Naomi? Is Lacey turning heel again? Have we just completely given up on something that we never really got off the ground in the first place?
Did you not see the subtle, like this? There was a subtle message there. She took off her heels and was hitting Naomi in the head with her heel.
A heel turn?
She was a heel turn. It was a heel turn.
Yeah.
It was a go with it. Come on.
It was about as effective as the karaoke competition.
Oh, okay.
I have so much vitriol over the people in the back that put all these ladies up to this. This was a horrible idea. This was not anything that's conducive. We're going back to bra and panties matches at this point. This is the kind of crap that you're going to air on SmackDown. No, thank you. I do not tune in to watch this kind of stuff. This is awful. There have been few exceptions where stuff like this has worked. The New Day and the Usos having a rap battle surprised us all. We thought it was going to be a train wreck. Surprised us all. This, there was no misconception that it had any possibility of being anything but a train wreck. So oh God, I'm at a loss for words. Lacey Evans, you have so much potential with Lacey Evans. You have so much potential with Naomi. Just incredible potential in those two ladies alone. Dana Brooke has come leaps and bounds. Tamina should be an enforcer, as she was with Nia Jax, and not be involved in doing stuff like this, because as you saw during the karaoke thing, she just didn't even try. So what's the point of this? What are you trying to get done and accomplish with this in your hour and 40 minutes of programming that you're putting in our eye holes? How does this build? Are we going to have a fatal four-way now?
Was that a rhetorical question, or you want me to answer that?
No, I don't want
I have an answer for it.
I don't want to.
I have an answer for it. I'm going to give you an answer.
I don't have a care about this segment. They are making me tune out three women that I think are incredibly talented, incredibly underused, and to highlight Bayley and Sasha and Nikki and Alexa.
See, conversely, I think the segment was intended to show character in all of these women who haven't really had enough time to get on TV and show their character, obviously with the exception of Lacey Evans. And they needed to show that Lacey was turning heel. So this was intended to show that these women they're more than just people that hang out backstage. And in that sense, honestly, I thought that there was moments in this that were fun. I agree. I don't like the concept of it. And I think that there's this is a little diva-y, having the women out there to kind of like strut around, except that this wasn't about showing off their bodies. This was showing off, could they go out there and have fun in a segment like this?
What does Lacey Evans singing Jeff Jarrett's entrance song have to do with her in-ring ability?
Nothing, but it ended up in a match. And the fact that you built up the fact that she's now turning heel, which I don't agree with. And actually, I'm going to jump to Line Drive. Kyle over here in the chat, $10, brother. Thank you very much. Says somehow wasting 6 months of getting over a face turn of Lacey Evans was the least offensive thing about this segment. How? WTF? And Bruce hates this stuff. Just why? I agree. I don't like the idea that they're wasting Lacey Evans as a face. What I'm glad about is they're doing something again with Naomi. If you think back to the Royal Rumble and the pop she got, they're sitting on a gold mine with Naomi and they're not mining it. And having her and Lacey Evans have a feud, while it could be bad optics from some angles, if it's giving both women some time on TV, when they were tussling, they were throwing hands. In the match that they had, they were throwing hands, and I liked it. If that's what we're building towards here, honestly, I'm going to say this. There are worse ways we could have gotten there. This was cringy. It certainly was not, as you said, on the level of like New Day and Usos, which when we heard about that, we had the same reaction of, oh God, this is going to be terrible. And it wasn't. It was slamming. But we remember that because it was the exception to the rule. And most of the time, these kinds of segments fall flat because it's not what we want to see on a wrestling show. It just seems like an arbitrary stunt that they're pulling, and it's silly. And it was silly. But at the end of the day, they're getting these women on TV and they're having them do something and they're heading into a match with it. And it wasn't demeaning in the way that a bra and panties match was, or like some of the diva stuff where they had them come out and do like a fashion, like a ballroom gown competition, right? This wasn't just about them as bodies. This was about them having some sort of talent. I know what I'm obviously it wasn't really about that, but that was the impression they were trying to give. But it was a segue into a program.
Yep.
So if you want to take me into a Lacey and Naomi program, I'm into that. I'm into Lacey and Naomi having a program. It's too bad that Lacey's got to go heel, but if that's what we have to get Naomi a program, I think that's kind of what I'm leaning towards here is getting Naomi back on TV and utilizing her, I think, is a good call.
Yeah.
But I also want to just end by saying I understand why everyone hated this segment as much as they did. I didn't hate it that much. I've seen so many worse segments. I've seen so many worse performers in those segments. This actually entertained me. It wasn't good, but it wasn't the worst thing that WWE's ever done by a long shot.
I agree with that.
We're
supposed to be past all that, though.
Are we?
I want to get past SmackDown so we can go talk about something that's actually relevant.
All right. Well, we'll stop crapping on this segment because
and I keep accidentally scrolling down in the note and it's scaring me.
No. Brian in the chat said, "What does this do for Dana and Tamina?" I mean, it's the most we've seen out of both of them since Tamina had her title shot, and it's most we've seen out of Dana in a while. Since
Dana
she
was on
Naomi.
such a good tear there for a while.
Yeah, she beat Naomi twice, and now this. But honestly, like the thing that sticks out of my head is Dana doing the honky tonk man thing. Like that sticks out of my head. It was entertaining. She was good. And for that alone, I had to sit there and think about this segment and go, well, she was entertaining. If I was someone who was if I was a kid tuning in, I'd be like, Dana Brooke's cool. She's funny or whatever. You know, she would stick in my mind. So what does anything ever do for Tamina? That's why I throw back to that. Right. Tamina's impervious to things happening for her. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Matt Riddle facing AJ Styles next week for the Intercontinental Championship. AJ was told that this week, and he's, who's Matt Riddle ever beaten? You, AJ. Sarah Shriver said back to him sassily. AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle for the IC title next week.
Already
sounds to me like a schmoz finish, and we're getting the actual match at Extreme Rules.
Yep.
Unless we're having it happen again, where AJ always has to defend or go for the IC title on the day before a pay-per-view, because he did that with Daniel Bryan too.
Right.
But again, are we going to have Matt Riddle lose this quickly? And if so, what does that say about his push?
Why even have him have this match like week 2, week 3?
I'm curious where they're going with it.
Like,
I'm very curious where they're going. It could be good. It could be a really good idea.
The
Obviously,
match itself is going to be amazing. Those two locking horns, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lights out kind of match, but putting him in a title match at a Extreme Rules pay-per-view like month 1? Come on, man. That's not going to do him any good. Nor is it good for, I mean, I don't think he's going to take it off of AJ. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. But this episode of SmackDown just really messed me up, man. It really messed me up.
Let's get on out of here then, because they had 2 segments they used to re-show the entire Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt match from Backlash. Instead of having any segment with Braun Strowman or Bray Wyatt, we get to watch that match again, which shows you what how creatively bankrupt SmackDown was this week, and that's really the only thing I can use for it. It felt lazy. It felt creatively bankrupt. It was not a good SmackDown.
No.
Obviously, everyone worked their ass off, and I feel like a lot of the performers showed up completely game to do everything, but I think they were failed by creative this week, unfortunately. Nick, it is time.
Oh, boy.
Let's head over. Let's discuss what happened over across the sea in New Japan.
So before you get started, Sir Ian Dangerous, I have to disclose to everyone here, and please, for the sake of everyone in chat, if they have not seen it, because it just happened this morning.
Last night. Oh, this morning. I was up till
hours ago.
Yes.
24-hour spoiler rule still in effect. However, Ian's getting ready to do it, but
I'm a spoil.
We're not posting this episode till later tonight. So whatever.
Yeah.
For those of you live, I have not seen it yet, so I am going to take one for the team and get spoiled.
Yes. You all are, if you don't mind.
Ian has blacked it out in my note.
I don't want you to know.
He doesn't want me to know what happened until he tells me, so you guys are going to get a live reaction here. I have not seen this episode yet. I tried to stay up. I made it till about 3:15 in the morning, and then I was done. And there was no way I was going to make it for a 4-hour show or however long it was.
I'm not going to lie. It was 3 hours. I had a hard time. Actually, no, it was about It was about 2-3 hours. I
Irrelevant.
had,
Let's
I had
go.
a hard time too because basically the entire show was a bunch of was like the greatest hits of the tag matches of the whole New Japan Cup. They didn't advance any storylines they hadn't already established.
Right.
Like, yes, we know Tanahashi's leg is being targeted by Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. Yes, we know that Ibushi and Tanahashi have a tag title match against those two guys at Dominion. Great. That wasn't advanced anymore. They went for Tanahashi's leg again. We know that Sho and Shingo Takagi have been butting heads for the entire tournament. They butted heads again. Ooh. Nothing was advanced with that. The only thing that really happened on the show besides the main event was Master Wato, newly returning. Master Wato had a match against Doki.
Dookie.
Poor Doki.
Sure.
And Doki. And honestly looked really good.
Wow.
Like, the gimmick is goofy as hell. My dude Wato looks like he still looks like a child. He's a puffy-faced kid. Goofy, dorky-looking dude. But then again, Okada has looked dorky as well. He looked dorky when he came back. So I can't get behind Master Wato yet. But damn, he looked good in this match. The dude's finishing move is a spiral tap. And he did it perfectly. It was a perfect spiral tap.
That's tough.
So it's a hard move. So props where props are due. Master Wato wrestled good. I was going to say looked good, but he didn't look good. He's wrestled good. But of course, the main point of last night's show was the New Japan Cup final. Evil somehow sneaking through to the finish by using dastardly moves the entire cup, including using chairs and low blows on his own brother from Los Ingobernables de Japón, metaphorical brother, Sonata. So he gets to the final. He's been using whatever dastardly means necessary, but he's from Los Ingobernables. They do that. Yep. It's to be expected. It was a little bit jarring because he really did go hard on Sonata, but everyone in Los Ingobernables forgave him. They're like, hey man, it's all right. Because at the end of the day, we want Evil to win because if he's challenging Naito, that's fine. Naito doesn't mind losing to another brother from Los Ingobernables because the belts stay in Los Ingobernables. That was basically Naito's point.
Yeah.
However, they'd been building this match up as being Okada's redemption story. So coming into this match, the real story was, hey, Evil's a threat to Okada getting his redemption back. And that was the big story that they were telling. So it made it look like Okada was going to have his rematch against Naito right away because he had to redeem himself from losing the belt to Wrestle Kingdom to Naito. So that was the story we were getting. Evil looking like a huge underdog coming into this. And I mean, he's never really been a main eventer, Evil. He's always been kind of an almost. Even Sonata, who I picked to go all the way this year, Sonata has more history with Okada. Well, they have a long-standing rivalry.
That match they had at the G1 last year was brilliant.
Oh, that was lights out. Down to the last second. Oh, that was a good match. Might have been one of the best matches of the G1. So he's got more history with Okada.
Yep.
So Evil Okada was not an exciting main event. The idea of Evil winning was less enticing than Okada because Okada has history with Naito, and they built up this whole thing. So we have this nicely worked match. Evil comes out strong against Okada in the beginning, and of course, at a certain point, Okada starts overwhelming him. So Evil starts getting dirty. Chairs start coming into play, but Okada ultimately overwhelms Evil. Evil can't withstand Okada. It's just because it's freaking Okada, and Evil's not on his level. And Okada starts choking out Evil in the Cobra Clutch. Evil won't go to sleep, so Okada picks him up. 2 Rainmakers in a row. Puts him back down in the camel clutch, and Evil goes to sleep. And as the ref is about to call for the bell, frickin' Gato comes out of the back, distracts Red Shoes. Red Shoes goes and handles him. Okada's still got the hold on. Evil's passed out. Yoshinobu Kanemaru comes out the other side of the ring, kicks Okada in the back. It was Yujiro. Yujiro comes out, puts the finishing move on Okada. Okada's out. Evil's out. The ref gets back to the ring. What's going on? Evil gets back to his feet first, tries to put Okada down. Okada won't go down. Evil knocks out the ref. Low blow to Okada. Ref gets back up. Darkness falls. Low blow. When I say low blow, he had Okada's legs out like a pair of chicken wings, and he stomped on his Rainmakers. It was an absolutely brutal low blow. He stomped the crap out of his Rainmakers. Darkness falls. Sorry, everything is evil. We gave him Darkness falls early in the match. Everything is evil. 1, 2, 3. Evil, through nefarious means, the help of Gato and Yujiro Takahashi, and a stomp to the Jubilees, beats Okada to win the New Japan Cup.
What?
And first thing he does, he's like, that's right. The audience is kind of like, boo. There was booing from the crowd because of the dirty way that he won. Everyone's kind of like, oh, Evil wins, and he does it not clean. He's got to face Naito. So Evil gets on the mic and says, all right, you know what's happening next. Naito, come on out. So Naito comes out with both his belts, smiling because his brother. That's right. All right. Gets in the ring, lays the belts down. He says, all right, Evil. At least the belts will stay in Los Ingobernables de Japón. You've earned it. Way to go, dude. I guess we're going to have to fight. And he puts up his fist. Evil goes to put up his fist. And right before he hits fists, turns it into a 2-sweet. And then everything is evil on Naito. Naito's laid out, and all of Bullet Club comes out to celebrate because Evil has turned and joined Bullet Club. The beatdown begins, and Evil leaves with Bullet Club throwing the 2-sweet on his way out. And the audience was livid.
Oh, can you imagine that in the just because Carrick Hall or just
Maybe Osaka
Joe Hall? Just good Lord. Oh, that place would have erupted. And frankly, it's one of those, it's the best possible outcome of all of the outcomes. I'm actually very happy about this outcome.
It's the best possible outcome.
It's one of the things that we speculated could happen.
Yep.
It's
I said I didn't think it would because I couldn't see Evil. Like it's Ingobernables is such a small faction to begin with. Bullet Club totally outnumbers them now. But this is the best thing for Evil. He's just been so kind of there for the last few years. Now Evil is exciting, and he's been for the most part a face. Like, you know, Los Ingobernables, they're kind of tweeners. You know what I mean? Like they don't necessarily play by the rules. They're kind of dicks, but they're not bad guys.
And frankly, since the Elite have left, it's pretty much just been Jay White until Kenta obviously showed up after
Kenta,
the G1.
Yeah. Oh God!
You know, that was an interesting run.
Evil and Kenta forming a tag team. Oh God! So no, this leaves a lot of possibilities for Evil, and now he's actually evil. He's actually evil. He's not just evil by name, and he's kind of a dick in the ring. No, now he's gone evil. Mwah. The only person I worry for is Milano Collection AT, who was crying after this match. That's the announcer, by the way. This is the announcer who's always holding up the Evil merchandise and like worshiping Evil.
Right.
He actually broke down in tears after this match because Evil betrayed him, which is great stuff. So yeah, that's
okay.
Awesome.
Good. Let me
have a story.
Let me react a little bit. Good. They didn't just set Okada back up for Naito. Awesome.
No, we can wait for that.
Good. We didn't just have Evil go over Okada for no reason and then, with no story.
LIJ versus LIJ and Dominion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure it would have been a good match. We've seen Evil Naito before, but it's
always trust Gato.
Yes.
Oh. The mastermind does it again. Line drive, Kyle, $4.99. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
It says Evil and Io are about to be wrestling's true power couple. Wish they saved the turn for Dominion, though. They already are the power couple. But especially if Evil wins one of these belts, I don't think he's gonna. But you never know. That could be crazy. I don't know. But I don't think they should have done the turn at Dominion because they needed a story going into it. Now we have heat coming into this match. They had to do it here because otherwise we'd be going in this match not excited about it.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm excited for this match. Right? They did it the perfect. Like, we only had to wait one day. So I understand why you think it might be better after the match, but now this match is going to be hot fire. Because Naito's going to come into this like, why did you do this? You've got all a Bullet Club ringside that could come out and interfere with the match. Like now you have a ton of story going into Dominion. If you had to wait for Dominion to have the turn, you wouldn't have had any of the story, all of this stuff that's going around in the fans' minds. It wouldn't have been there. So no, I thought this was perfect timing. And the way that it went down was mwah.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch
going
it
up
later.
with the fist bump and just turns at the last second into the too sweet, and then immediately into the everything is evil finisher. So
if any of you have not watched it yet, that might be here live or that are listening later, for whatever reason, after I get the show put up tonight, I'm going to immediately go and watch it. I'll be in the Discord chatting. So if anybody hasn't seen it, probably about 10 o'clock Eastern tonight.
I'm going to go back and watch it when Kevin Kelly's calling it too.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I might actually wait the more I think.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait. I want to see the match. I want to see how it went down.
For those of you asking in the chat, when it's in English, usually a couple of days they have to send it out to Kevin Kelly. He has to record it and get it back to them, and they have to then do all the processing. So usually 3 or 4 days, probably early next week it'll be up.
Yeah. This one they might fast track though. Honestly.
Tonight, yeah. Well, maybe get it out for tonight. Tonight, Dominion is happening. There are only 3 major matches on the card. Shingo versus Sho for the Never Openweight Championship. Tanahashi and Ibushi versus Sabre Jr. and Taichi for the Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. And of course, as we know now, Evil versus Naito for both the Intercontinental and the Heavyweight Championships. Naito, of course, the other double champ in wrestling right now, besides Bayley and Keith Lee.
If you had told me that a year ago that the tag team match for the tag team championship at Dominion would be Tanahashi Ibushi versus Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi, I probably would have smacked you and told you were crazy. That's nuts.
If a year ago I'd have told you that Bayley, Keith Lee, and Naito were going to be the 3 double champions in the world.
I could have believed that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what weird world is this?
Yeah.
I would have told myself 2020 is a wild year. Just brace yourself.
Dear future self.
Dear future self, brace yourself for 2020.
Is going to be interesting.
I'll bend you over like you're in the shower in a jail cell. All right, let's go over. Nick, that was Dominion. That's happening tonight. So looking forward to that. I'll be checking that out later this evening. But that is the wrestling right there, brother. I guess it's time for us to go and do that thing. You know that thing?
You mean the thing where we play... Oh, basket is glory!
I mean, yes, we could do that too.
Oh,
but,
not that. Okay, no, do you want to talk about our moment of positivity? Mop, 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 mop,
mop. That's right. The moment of positivity, the moment where we talk about the thing that happened this week in wrestling that we particularly enjoyed, that made us happy, that put a smile on our face, the fuzzies in our tummy, that we can leave the show on a positive note, on an up note, and go back into the world with a smile on our faces. Nick, what was your moment of positivity for this week?
As if there was any doubt.
I knew you were going to steal it. It's fine.
It's not stealing it. It's okay this week for us both to have the same thing.
Can we both do the same thing?
Man.
I mean, we could say the tag match on AEW. We could say Evil turning evil was a great moment. We could say the karaoke competition on Smackdown.
No.
All right.
No.
Really,
as a matter of fact, Brian Duncan in the chat said our mop song that is that's out of sync because we're across the country is better than that karaoke competition. No, obviously it's Keith Lee.
Just be glad we don't try to sing With My Baby Tonight. Just be glad we don't try to do that.
I feel like we have been on this sort of hype train of Keith Lee for the last 2 years, coming up through PWG, taking the title off of Chucky T, the matches with Walter, the appearance in NXT, the matches with Dijak, the other matches with Dijak, and even more matches with Dijak. And then now we've gotten to this where he won the North American Championship. Yeah. And now it's just this, and the moments at Survivor Series, and the moments at the Royal Rumble, and now finally, this moment that of all moments of Adam Cole, one of the longest reign in NXT history, not 1 but 2 championships at the Great American Bash. I mean, somebody stop me, because Jesus Christ, I am all aboard the Keith Lee hype train right now for the last 2 years, and I don't think it's stopping anytime soon.
Yeah. No, it's always nice when the guys that you want to root for, that you're a fan of, that when they get the nod. And this is an example of a guy that, you and I have been very high on for a long time, Nick, as we've said, getting his.
Yeah.
And it's great to see. And obviously, as fans of him as a wrestler and as a human being, it's a wonderful thing to see. And especially in this way, and on this level.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really all we can say. I mean, yeah, obviously we're biased. We love us some Keith Lee. We always have. We've made that clear on the show. But it's nice to see our boy get his. It was some great moments after that as well. Like if you check it out on YouTube, Adam Cole stands up and they shake hands. Still kind of in kayfabe. Keith gets the point from Triple H. Dijak comes out, gives him a big old hug from behind. Mia Yim comes out. So it's a bunch of great moments beyond what we saw on TV. So.
I want to read something else that Kyle just put in the chat, too. It's worth noting and recalling again that the 15-year grind, he was once homeless living in his car, truly defining Limitless both outside and inside the ring and being the champ for today. Killer Tim Brooks will be proud. Yeah.
I can't follow that. That's well said.
Congratulations, Keith, on your journey, man. And the funny thing is it feels like it's just getting started.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
That's the
crazy
scary
thing.
part. Yeah, but I remember watching him in Reseda with the stickers on his trunks because he couldn't afford to get wrestling gear. He bought a pair of sort of like white Speedos and put those letters you get to put on your mailbox, the stickers to spell your last name out for your. That's what Keith Lee had on his trunks at PWG and in Reseda at the American Legion.
3 years ago.
2017. Just 3 years ago, guys.
Yeah. Having a 5-star match.
Yeah.
In a sweat box in Reseda.
I literally have tingles. I'm so excited for Keith. That is absolutely hands down my moment of positivity. I don't think there's any. Nothing could top that this week.
Well, fantastic. Let's leave it with that. Let's leave it with Kyle's wonderful words as well. And that's the show. Boom.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Especially shout out to everybody in chat that joined us live. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for the last couple of hours. But don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after a short break with a new stream doing our patron mailbag, episode number 40. We've been doing this 40 weeks. I guess we started at the beginning of December. We lined it all up with Dynamite and the new NXT going live and all of that stuff, right? The new era of BWO started at the same time, but 40 weeks now. We're 40 weeks into the patron mailbag, and I got to say, we love doing it every single week. You guys bring the questions. We love doing it. If you'd like to get yours in, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for just that $5 tier. $5 a month. Just $5 a month. You get access to ask questions every single week right here on the Patron Mailbag Show on Saturdays, normally around 5 p.m. Eastern, which is where we're at right now. But come over and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Make sure you get into the Discord community. That is the place to be. All of these things you can find links down in the description below or pinned across our social media profiles. Subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure you got your notifications set to all. We've had a lot of people talking about not getting notifications from YouTube. Also, if you're in the Discord, you'll get notifications from Discord because I've got all of that stuff linked. So a lot of people say they get better notifications from Discord than actual YouTube, which is funny and ironic in a weird way. Come on, Google. Get your shit together. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back in a few minutes with the Patron Mailbag. My name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Surrey and Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Surrey and Dangerous.
But my God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.